must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Fellow Africans, every time we are challenged on matters of importance, there is always a path for redemption. The only thing that Kenya needs at the moment is redemption. It's a redemption strategy that can create a coexistence of all the people, all the tribes, all regions, and all shades of opinions. Challenges come at an hour where a country is on a test. Test runs are always the most crucial points. That's where experiments collapse. Kenya is not an experiment. Kenya is a nation that has existed for 56 years. The challenges, therefore, should not make us hate each other. These challenges should unite us, should unite the people of Kenya to push forward an agenda, to follow their president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, in delivering the agenda for a better Kenya. A better Kenya will produce a better East Africa. A better East Africa will produce a better Africa. The challenges, the obstacles that come amongst us are many, but we can overcome them through discussion, a wider range of discussion, wider disagreements to agree and disagree, to agree again and disagree to disagree. But we should not form clubs, units, militias, hatred of that nature that can take us to the history. Germany today is Germany because it doesn't want to go to the path of the history. Germany goes to the path of development. Over 70 years ago, Germany was at war with the entire world. Today, it is on the path of resolving some of the problems that come. I want us to stand in the place of Germany and look forward and backwards. See what we can do here, but not yearn for what is in Rome. What is in Rome is safeguarded, but in Sicily, which is Kenya, we need to build a foundation for the younger generation that we are going to live here today. The many who have no employment, the poverty, the ignorance, the diseases that kill the people of Africa. We need to find a modium of operation. Modus operandi. The only modus operandi on this is a united, peaceful Kenya. A Kenya united by values of respect and adherence to the rule of law. A Kenya without schemes of elimination or fiction of elimination or murders written by themselves. A Kenya without any hatred against the president. A a Kenya that supports the constitutional roots that the 2010 constitution of yours brought. That is how Africa will rise and shine again. Thank you. The creation of African Continental Free Trade Area is a step forward for the African integration, and it is very much welcome both by Africans in Africa and those in diaspora. The creation of such is the only second one since the formation of World Trade Organization in 1994, and is only compared to the size that can compete if it works in Africa. 1.3 billion people will benefit out of this free trade that has been signed and endorsed by 54 heads of state. After several years of up and down in the valleys of Africa and the mountains of Africa, we finally came to a conclusion that this has to happen, which brings us to the dream of Kwame Nkrumah when he said, at least building a block by block, Africa will one day unite to stand as a united continent. But are the members of this African Union committed? Will they implement what they have decided? Today, in several countries, we see signs of xenophobia, the lack of patriotism amongst the younger generation, the lack of employment, the unemployment, the mistreatment of the young, the youth, those who need jobs, the corruption, the amount of corruption that has eaten the entire continent of Africa could hamper the free trade that we are anticipating on the continent. What measures, therefore, have African heads of state put in place to ensure that those who lag behind, those who drop out, must be penalized? We should not sign the document for the sake of documents, but we should sign documents for practical reasons that we shall implement what Africa needs today. Can it happen in our times? Is it going to happen? Is integration a mirage? Is integration worth going to happen? Will it happen? What has happened about the present blocks that have started integration process? What have they done? Is Africa integrating? Thank you. I want to call upon the people of Abazonia today, wherever you are in the diaspora in Abazonia itself, that in a struggle you are bound to have divisions. But divisions should not divert you from the main focus, the main challenge. We have struggled to expose the happenings, the human rights abuses in Abazonia. The army has killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands, burnt houses of people, internet was cut off, schools were closed, dispensaries, hospitals were burnt down. Abazonians should not be intimidated by Paul Robia. It is not upon the leaders of Abazonia, because I am not from Abazonia, but I've played a pivotal role in making sure that I loud out the voices, I put out the call, I call upon AU, EU, United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. Many of them have listened to some of the things that I say here, and they have come at last. America, United States of America, is slowly moving towards giving the Abazonian people the dignity they deserve. I therefore call upon the leaders and the leadership of the Abazonian people to unite for a purpose. The unity of purpose is paramount, as opposed to disunity, which has nothing but only produces ego that we have seen in South Sudan. What has killed South Sudan is not because they don't have the money, the minerals, the resources. Is ego between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. We would not like to see that ego come to the people of Abazonia, the leadership of Abazonia. I call upon Samuel Sako, Akanga, Miran, and Eko to unite and talk with one voice on international scene that will bring about the peace, the tranquility that you yearn for since 1961, when the resolution 1608 was abandoned by the United Nations General Assembly and Abazonia was annexed by the Cameroon government by then. I call upon you, my brothers, to pick up the unity call and free your people without disintegration. Thank you.
A very good morning to you, and thank you for watching us this day, the 25th of July 2019. We're coming to you all the way from Kenya's capital in Nairobi, and today we are blessed to have Dr. Matsanga join us. Remember, for the last 2 days he's been off duty, he's been taking care of some businesses, but today he gets an opportunity to join us all the way from the Kenyan coastal town of Mombasa, and he'll take us through, we'll be discussing the topical discussion today, which is Kenya's judiciary system, a challenge to the war against corruption. My name is Miriam Aguta, and a very good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. How is Nairobi? I am told it is very cold.
It's a balance. Right now I see there's some sunlight outside. So yeah, a bit of cold, but it's been warm lately.
Okay, thank you very much.
And Mombasa is obviously hot.
A lot of interesting stories on the newspapers. I've seen all of them right down in the coast. People are very apprehensive. Very, very apprehensive. They are very happy. They are very joyful about the arrests. But most of them, since they live near the ocean, they are saying the big whales must fall, not the poets and the jesters. They are looking for the big whale, the whales, those that have been taking money in the coordinators those who coordinate this syndicate. That's what the people of Mombasa and the general public in places that I have gone to are saying so.
Well, at this time, DPP and the DCI office might have gotten it right, because right now they have the biggest fish that people are looking for from the Treasury, Mr. Henry Rotich, who now has been replaced in acting capacity by Yatani. I don't know, what is your opinion on that?
They are very happy. Yatani is a career civil servant, a master of diplomacy, a gentleman who's honest, straightforward. You remember when he was the governor of Marsabit, or he was the governor of one of those counties.
He did in the last August here. He served for one term. Yes.
He did very well, and there were no scandals, there were no corruption. He is the right person for the acting capacity. But above all, the sanity returns in the ministry of the Treasury. I have been saying so, Miriam, for the last 3 weeks. I told you, I found one of those ministers. Now I can tell you frankly that he wanted to greet me. I told him, you're a thief. You have let down the president. I don't want you to greet me. In one of the hotels in Runda, I told him, I'm sorry. My hand does not shake hands of thieves.
All right. So with the arrest of former CS for Treasury, Henry Rotich, and of course his case has started in the Kenyan court, should CS like Mwangi Kiunjuri start parking? Because also Kenyans are bailing for his blood.
That right one now should have gone. Mr. President, what the president, people are saying, I came here to do the gathering opinion on an investigative pieces. I wanted to know what people are saying. The man they want out like now is the Minister of Agriculture. Agriculture forms the backbone of this country. Agriculture is the honor of all human beings. Even if you are poor in the pocket, you can eat. But if agriculture ministry is being messed up by Mr. Kiunjuri, that's the one they want on the way out. And the President Uhuru Kenyatta has gained perception. People are now saying, yes, he's biting. Yes, there are few elements, of course, who want to disrupt and make it look like it is a tribal, war. No, this is not a tribal war. You stole alone. You took the money alone. You did not take the money with us. You took the money with people that you knew. You connived to take the money. So the question of saying it is us it's not you. The problem that you have seen in this Rotich arrest and the Keiro Error and the Kimerol Dam is that people employed their relatives. So if you have been all swept as cronies, because you employ the relatives so that you can talk the same thing and eat, that is your problem. That's what the people are saying in the coast here. And the entire people, the people are happy. They want more and more and more.
All right. And of course, right now, Kenyans are setting their eyes on the judiciary as it is right now, as the cases are right now in the Kenyan courts. Do you think the Kenyan judiciary is up to the task of prosecuting a big fish like Mr. Henry Rotich? We've not seen that happen in the past.
We can see already there are 3 categories of explanation on the judiciary. We have the lawyers, defense lawyers, who fix the cases. We have fixers. In this deal of Error and Kemerol, there's one main fixer you have forgotten. A fixer, a very dangerous international fixer. And this year I should be able to apprehend him sooner than later. There's a fixer missing. You must get that fixer. This fixer has been siphoning Kenya's money for a long time. And that is the one we have to get. The DCI will do a good job if they fix that one, bring him on board, charge him also. Things are hot in all countries where this money passed. There is nobody you're not giving information. People are giving information. The judiciary, we have 3 categories of people. The defense lawyers who fix the cases, They want to know which judge these suspects will appear to. And then the intelligence system of Kenya plus the DCI follow some of the judges. It is very important that you will find some of them are being given, prior, briefings and being promised to go and take on these cases. That is appearing now. 2, the judiciary itself is incompetent. I have told you, incompetent, lacks credibility. 3, the judicial system itself, judicial systems. Yet the law itself must be changed. It has become an obstacle. The judges say their hands are tied. Kenyans should look at the law. You cannot steal 19 billion shillings and then walk home by paying 15 million shillings.
So that is a drop in the ocean. I can hear you.
It's a drop. Exactly. It's a drop in the ocean. You have stolen, you have lost us 63 billion shillings. And you have given bail of 15 million. Kenyans have lost that money. Someone told us a bank guarantee, bank guarantee, bank guarantee, bank guarantee. Why is it? Where's the bank guarantee now? I have never seen a bank guarantee, a bank that then every Kenyan would have gone to the bank. By now, every Kenyan would have gone to the bank to get the money because there's a bank guarantee. You go and get it and then throw it in the mangoes and throw in the ocean, then come back and say there's a bank guarantee. Where is the bank guarantee? That's the question people should ask. Our leaders should be telling us the truth. You cannot steal money. You cannot go and borrow money and then you say you have bought, you are going to use it for another project. A bank guarantee is given for a specific project. In this case, you can see that there was no bank guarantee. It was the Italian government itself that was actually saying, for the goodwill, we shall help you. But people went and swept even that smaller money that arrived. So there was no bank guarantee.
Yes,
it has never been there.
Yes, Doctor. And
that is the situation.
And speaking about the Italian government, right now it has emerged that the Italian company that was responsible for drilling these dams has already closed the shops in Nairobi. How will this affect the case so far?
They can close offices in Nairobi, but we shall locate them in Milan, Torino, Milan, Sicily, Rome. We shall look for them. We are also Kenyans should not worry. There are so many Africans that are going to help them to search for these individuals. What we call in Kenya, umundu humundu. We are going to get it back. We shall look for them. We know them. We know where they operate. In Europe, we also have we have friends who can help us to track down these guys. So the Kenya government and the President Uhuru Kenyatta should not rely on one agency only. There are many friends of Kenya who track down these boys. These are boys who come and take our money. They go and sit in hotels, arrange to here. Can you imagine a very senior government official sitting in a hotel, being manned by the intelligence of Italy, and you are talking on how to divide the money? Surely, is this what will Kenyans say? Kenyans all over in the coast here in Mombasa, everybody is saying, hello, there is a problem here. Tell president, whenever they see you out on the road, they stop you to say, fanya kazi, endelea, sukuma wengine. There are people who should actually not even talk about the whole thing, blaming the president for what? What can the president do? The president gave you authority. The president follows the constitution. Now the president gave the DCI and DPP authority. They have come. Let's see the case. The biggest problem is one, the criminal justice system of Kenya must change. I'm looking for obstacles. As much as we want to condemn, we must also look for obstacles. The criminal justice system of Kenya must change. You cannot steal 63 billion, then you walk out on Tuesday and tell people, then start killing witnesses. You remember this is going to happen. This case is going to drag, and Rotich is going to go around. That anybody who was mentioned either is not there, or will say I was mentioned under duress, or I was giving evidence against you. That's not, you know, taking somebody's passport in Kenya is not a game. No, it is not a guarantee anymore. People can travel on East African, paper, and goes to Mombasa, to Dar es Salaam. He can go from Dar es Salaam and go away. So they should change. The criminal justice system of Kenya must change, should change, so that if you have stolen such magnitude of money, you must stay in prison for at least 6 months. 6 months in industrial area on remand, while investigation thoroughly are being done. Then your chief prosecutor comes, or the prosecutor comes with the evidence. It takes you 3 to 4 days to finish. And that is what we can do.
All right, speaking about the criminal justice, and I think you mentioned one of the conditions that Rotich was given by the court was to hand over his passport, but also he was told not to, an order was given that he should not be seen near the premises of Kenya's treasury. Do you think this is enough safeguard in terms of protecting the evidence?
No.
So what should have been done?
That is not even enough.
Yes.
That's not enough. That's why I'm saying the Kenyan MPs should sit down. Corruption cannot be fought by arresting only. Corruption can be fought by even bringing in structures that can stop corruption. One of the structures of that can stop and deter corruption is high sentence. Give a maximum sentence. Give no bail to some suspects for at least 2 or 3 to 6 months. They run away. The Rwandans have 6 months. If you are caught on corruption in Uganda, you don't apply for bail the same day and you are given in the evening. No. Change the law in Ethiopia. If you are caught on corruption, you don't apply for bail that same evening. You have given too many thieves extra time to go and operate and even kill the whistleblowers, threaten the whistleblowers. It's impossible. The Kenyan law must change in order to fight. You can't fight corruption alone by arresting. You can arrest even the whole of Kenya, but as long as you are giving them bail, they will go back to the society and become the same Kenya. So you must distinguish between who has stolen, who is stealing, who intends to steal, who stole, so that they can sit in the community. Let me tell you one thing, one loophole. For example, if you give Rotich a chance that deposit your passport, where is the probation officer who is looking at Rotich to make sure that he doesn't go to the Ministry of Treasury? Do we have probation officers in the community? No. No. The court probation officers will not be there to make sure that Rotich, yes.
Continue. So there are no safeguards in Kenya to ensure that the order that was given, especially, let's say, for instance, that was given to Henry Rotich for him not to access the premises of Treasury, and maybe he has some people in there that he,
Yes. Exactly. Miriam, you have a point. That order is very naive, stupid, silly. You can't say don't approach the building. This guy was a minister. This guy employed bodyguards. This guy employed girls there. There are so many of the ladies working there, men working there, who can collect information and meet him. We must have a probation. That is why I've been coaching and telling people, teaching people on this television station. It's the only television station that gives out good information to educate people. Social contract in Kenya's collapse. There is no probation officer to follow Rotich. They should have said Rotich is under house arrest. He should be put under house arrest.
Under house arrest.
The money he took is too much. Now you have even allowed him to go and sell the properties. You know, it is too much. It's too much. That is the way things should work in Africa if you are to go to clean corruption. In Rwanda, it has worked. In Ethiopia, it has worked. In Uganda, you don't get bail until 6 months.
Yes.
You can call Uganda a banana republic, as you always do. Kenyans call it a banana republic. But my dear, when it comes to corruption cases, you go to Luzira for 6 months. You are not given automatic bail. Your constitution was made for Americans. That Mr. Ekuro Ekot cut and paste the American constitution on your constitution. You don't have structures to oversee, to oversight these, bail conditions. If you ask me where is NYS, if you ask me what is NYS 1 and NYS 2, you will find that there is a problem at the moment.
All right. And also, I think you mentioned something very important there as, safeguard measure to ensure that some of this is really taken care of in terms of, if we refer to Rotich's case, house arrest could have served better and put some policemen over there. Would you suggest that to make sure that he stays at home and nobody's able to access him like that?
Yes, conditions, the DPP, we shall, most of the people in the coast where we are, they are saying the DPP can go back and ask for stiffer conditions. The conditions that were given to the suspects who have stolen such huge money is not a very relaxing mood. You have actually given him. And also, do you know what is happening? They are paying him money. On top of what he has stolen, he's going to get half salary and have allowance, have bodyguard.
Oh, but I think now he's fired. He's been fired now that Yatani has come in. I don't think they'll be paying him. If the government will be doing that, then that will contravene everything that the government is trying to do in fight against corruption. Yes.
The law says if you have stepped aside, like he has done, you can call it sacking, but it's stepping aside until the matter is concluded. Tomorrow,
so he's not been officially
come back and
fired.
say that there was no money lost.
So he's not been officially fired by the president.
The government has to pay him.
He's not been fired by the president. That is what you're saying, Doctor.
Yes, the court fired him, but not the president.
All right.
The president said you step aside. Once you are charged, you go home. You step aside. But the Civil Service Act, look at it. Don't forget he was a civil servant. And therefore the civil service will have to do all his, termination grants, retirement, all those things have to be given. He's going to go home with some money anyway.
He's still going to get more in his pocket, even after all that mess that is caused at the Treasury. After
gathering Roro and the Kimero dam money, he took the water and took even the dam equipment.
All right, so
you know what?
Yes.
It is very sad. It is very sad for Henry, a great friend of mine. How do you eat a dam which is going to serve your own people? What will the people in the village talk about you? He comes from Kemerel. Near there. I've been to that place. That's his place. How do you eat it? How on earth can you do that thing?
Apparently,
now the people who told Kenyans that there is a bank guarantee. Can we see the bank guarantee letter?
Yes, and who
are Kenyans asking at the coast? Kenyans are asking where's the bank guarantee letter?
All right, and maybe you should remind Kenyans who are some of these people.
Miriam,
Yes.
you are on national television.
Yes.
Ask
Who are some of these
where
people
is the bank guarantee?
who told Kenyans that there's a bank guaranteed? Can you remind Kenyans who some of these people are?
Yes, and I mean the deputy president told the judge, the chief, and all the judges seated that there is no money that is lost. So now he better comes back to tell us where the bank guarantee, which bank gave the guarantee, which one.
All right, so let me just.
Everybody is asking me whenever I am. You see, you can see the way I'm sweating. It's because it is too hot and the people are outside to see whether they can receive any information on. They want more and more. They want to thank the president. The president Uhuru Kenyatta has raised his marks. That is very good. But they want the Minister of Agriculture, who is messing up with the Ministry of Food, to go.
All right, and yes, according to the Standard here, let me just read something there from the Standard newspaper, our viewers, if you're watching, wherever you're watching us from, that is the headlines in the Standard newspapers, and it says, more CS's first arrest as Uhuru picks Okur and the president's appointment of Yatani as acting Treasury CS, seen as a stopgap measure following revelations that EACC and DCI are closing in on other cabinet secretaries, of course. Doctor, I don't know if you could just make a wild guess. Who are some of these CSS you think that the DCI and the EACC are closing down on in regards to corruption and the scandals that have been going in the different dockets that we have here in the country?
You first of all ask me, you know, if you ask me, should they be there or not?
So
let's begin the story which you have been.
So who are,
you know what?
First of all, who are some of these CSSs?
What? Yes.
Yes. If you could just take
you
a
know
wild
what they
guess.
Do you know what they call fatigue evaluation?
Yes.
Political fatigue evaluation. The president should have done that political evaluation long time ago. Mr. President, there is no ministry that is not fatigued with corruption. All state enterprises are eaten. They have been eaten. All these ministries are in sick bay. You know what a sick bay is. Riko na ugonjwa. So in political science, kama ziko na ugonjwa, toa ugonjwa. Usiseme utafanya ugonjwa hapa moja, hii ingine ianze. There is a political fatigue among the cabinet. The cabinet ministers were selected to oversight these parastatals. Most of the cabinet ministers decided to use them as a cash cow. They write notes to receive money, to pick money from parastatals. So if I were in power and handling such a position, I would never do what they call perestroika. Don't do perestroika because glass notes are dead. You hear that?
Yes.
Can I repeat that?
Yeah, and maybe you can explain what perestroika is to our viewers.
The biggest mistake that Gorbachev did in the Soviet Union was to introduce perestroika when glasnost were dead. Today, the Soviet Union is just recovering from Gorbachev's mistake. If we do piecemeal changes, those who are still left there who are corrupt are going to influence the other ones who are not corrupt. There are ministries that are working. I can't say every minister is corrupt. There are ministries that are working. But it is up to the president, who is the appointing authority, who can decide which minister is telling the truth and who is telling a lie. Kiyunjuri has told too many lies. even if it was a woman to be seduced, some people would have already run away very fast. Because the type of life, you remember he told us there was no money lost.
Yes.
Then people kept quiet. Maize was flooded from Uganda, and the maize was planted in the Rift Valley. The people in the Rift Valley making noise like Sudi, Oscar Sudi. They are making noise because they are the businessmen who bought maize. People are not telling them the truth. They are telling President Uhuru Kenyatta to resign. But why can't they resign first for having brought maize in wagons and lorries from Uganda and sold it in Kenya at the expense of their own farmers? Somebody has to stand up for President Uhuru Kenyatta also. Because people don't think that Uhuru Kenyatta has no friends. Uhuru Kenyatta has got more volunteer friends like some of us. We are volunteers. We don't go to him to pick money, to do this or that. We say the truth. Wallahi, our accounts are even in red. We don't have the money. But we speak because we want to protect the president. And therefore we are going to do it without fear or favor. So if you stand up and say, you are the one who brought maize from Uganda, we can even display the lorries, the wagons, the Kenyan railways that carried this maize. We know that. The farmers in the Rift Valley were making their noise. They said their own people have eaten them. We have kept quiet for a long time. How long will people keep quiet? President Uhuru Kenyatta is being vilified by Sudi, thinking that Sudi has a mouth to speak. But let him know that there are people who have a sharper mouth, who can track where Sudi, even the background of immigration. We know it. We can tell the world where people were born. You know the worst thing of all this Kenya problem is people who have bought identity cards.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. People who have bought identity cards or who bought identity cards a long time ago have also started poking nose on the real Kenyans. You know, I am one of those whom they have targeted, but I have never changed my nationality. You can call me a Ugandan. Thank you very much, God. But the problem that is there is that there are people who even bought identity cards and they call themselves more Kenyans than others. So as much as you insult the president, we also have data. So don't think that you are going to have a field day insulting him every day.
All right, Doctor.
We are giving it because we want that harmony. Let people also stand up for the president. There is nothing undemocratic there. You don't need to be a Kenyan to stand up for a person you love. After all, we even thank Jesus. Did we see Jesus? We didn't see Jesus. But we still follow him 2,000 years down. Why can't I follow Kenyatta and say Kenyatta is doing a good job in Africa? Kenyatta is integrating Africa. Why can't I support him? We talk about Karl Marx. Did we ever see Karl Marx? Did we ever see Adam Smith? Did we see Socrates? Did we see Plato Republic, the Plato? Did we see, so many of these? We didn't see them. Adam Smith, Rousseau, all these, all the theories, because people loved the work they did. Therefore, we have also love for Pan-Africanism, for the work President Kenyatta has done. Therefore, people who want to belittle him, who want to change a perception against him, those are the people, and the legacy must go on. I've told you already that I am here in the course writing the book, The Legacy. I don't want to be given permission too late. I'm writing it. I've taken it voluntarily. I'm not asking for somebody to give me a pen and a paper. I'm using my own pen and a paper. And I'm writing that book, The Legacy. Therefore, when it ends on 2022, I'll have the book ready for presentation for President Uhuru Kenyatta.
All right, as we wait for that book, Doctor, you're working on there on the coast there in Mombasa. You talked about harmony, and President Kenyatta was just trying to do certain things in regards to the harmony that he wants to see in this country. But also this new move by Henry Rotich being, I think he's been fired. I'm not sure from the Treasury, and being President appointing a sitting now CS for Treasury Yatani, I think has really thrown this fire into the works. And let me just read something here, what Sudi said, and you mentioned him there, and then maybe you can respond fully to his statement. He says, resign now, Sudi tells Uhuru over division, and he continues to say that Kapsabet Member of Parliament says political marriage between a president and his deputy is irretrievably broken, and that Truto no longer has Uhuru's ear. So if this marriage, this coalition of the Jubilee government has been broken according to Sudi. So what is left of the government of Jubilee, and how should Kenyans even receive this? I don't know. What do you make of his statements first? That the marriage is already broken?
I think statements, if they were coming from an intelligent person, I would react. But I don't react to statements from any kopump. A man who has a history of having forged certificates. So you can see the danger of not having gone inside the school. So I wouldn't like to make comments. I don't know which newspaper and the media that gives him the courage. If I were the media, I would avoid him. Because a man who cannot construct an English word sentence and cannot say it, and he doesn't know what a policy is. He says the marriage, as the deputy president told him, the marriage is over. Maybe he's speaking on his behalf, but we have not had the deputy president say so. No, the deputy president hasn't told anybody that he's no longer talking to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Does he report to Mr. Sudi? Sudi is a tribal chauvinist. I don't know whether he knows that English word. Tribal chauvinism. It's very dangerous. Tribalism is the worst enemy of Africa. And I speak frankly, because I'm older than Sudi. Sudi is about 30, 40 years. 40 years. I'm older. I have seen quite a lot. Yes, I'm 64 years now, this year. Therefore, I speak with my experience and the personal and the wisdom. That's tribalism. He's the one who has dismembered this whole thing. You know, when it came to maize, he said there was a problem. And who was the problem? It's himself. His friends, the Kutuni and the one of Nandi MP, they said, please, there's something wrong here. They said, no, there was nothing wrong. This thing has been building until the dam burst in Kemeroro and yes.
Yes, so, but this latest move, especially after, because the president, remember when he was having the State of the Nation address, and people were expecting him to really address the matter of corruption, because it was at that time that the scandal, the dam scandal was at its peak, and it has just broken into the public, and people are learning a lot of information, and it was very evident that the CS Henry Rotich was extensively mentioned in that mess. And so when the president was giving out the State of the Nation address, people expected him to fire, especially the CS for Treasury, and he came out, he said no, he will let the law take its course, and once somebody has been arraigned in court, so automatically he loses the job. So as it is right now, from my own opinion, I think Henry Rotich has lost that job. But now, after President Kenyatta appointed Ayatani as the acting CS for Treasury, will this be a litmus test in the Jubilee government?
I think, Miriam, sorry about that. We lost the touch, but
yes. So
I'm positioning my camera.
all right.
There is wind. There is a very huge wind coming from the coast. Am I there now?
Yes, I can see you very clearly. Yes, fantastic.
Yes. Miriam, there is a problem here, which we have to agree that, replacing people on acting capacity. If there was a permanent replacement, then you would know. But at the moment, if Rotich clears his name and he has conscience and he says, I'm now clear, there will be no problem. They will come back and appoint him in another capacity. Because they said step aside. Stepping aside is different from being fired. When you step aside, you allow investigations to complete, clear your name, and come back. Mm-hmm. That is one serious point you must take note. So don't labor too much on that point that he is fired. He is not. He has been said step aside. There is a man in acting capacity. Mm-hmm. If there was a permanent replacement, then you know he's gone forever. If the case concludes tomorrow and they find there was no money lost, because he has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt that he committed a crime, then he can come back and seek any other appointment that he needs. But for now, his career is on the bedrock of death. It is between hell and heaven. So when it decides he's clean, he will go to heaven. When it decides that he's guilty, he will go to hell. So that is where he is right now. That's why I always talk about the third tier of what God has put upstairs there. One of the third tiers is simply the situation of a waiting room, maybe. So Rotich is in a waiting in the lounge, having assorties, drink biscuits and so on while you wait for judgment. Mm-hmm. Literally speaking.
That is very literal. He's all right.
Yeah,
yes.
we have to bring in the sense of humor, Miriam, because at the moment that is what we have. Is a sense there is also a seriousness of people. People, you see what is going on. People have turned this, and I agree with Wally Sonyika that in Africa, Wally Sonyika says, in Africa there are people who defend their own people, even when they are thieves. You defend your person. These people did not steal money in terms of a tribe. They stole individually. And the individual capacity is what has caused the trouble that we see today. Another point that I see that is dismembering Jubilee is the men who are chosen as leaders of majority are speaking not as government mouthpiece in the parliament or in the Senate. I haven't seen Duale at least talk about this issue openly. But I've heard the younger man, Murkomen, Senator Murkomen, has gone out to say it's a charade. It is something that is politically being fixed by some people. Surely this money, this dam was going to help people. And this dam has taken so many people. One of the people that I was happy who was taken, apart from Rotich, is that man of Nema, Wahungu. Mm-hmm. He's a lawyer like me, but a very big thief. You know, he's one of those who has caused Kenya a lot of problems. These houses being demolished. This time his 40 days arrived on the forest of Rengoyo Marakwet. You know, he's the one who has been approving all these houses. Then after 5 years, they come and demolish them. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Nema. NEMA has done more damage to Kenyans. I am happy that this time, this sentence should actually deter whoever takes over the leadership of NEMA. People are concentrating on Rotich, but you have not seen where the entire thing was. The entire thing captured NEMA. NEMA has been making Kenyans suffer. A man gives you, okay, it's a plan for you to build your apartments. Then the man comes to destroy, and then the bulldozers come. You have wasted all your money, all your savings are gone. NEMA was worse than Zachariah, the Zacharias of the Bible.
Yes, indeed, there, Doctor. Very interesting point you brought there about NEMA. We've seen a lot of investors, especially this year, lose a lot of their investment in terms of buildings and infrastructure after they were already, they received a go-ahead from NEMA, and that later on it was, it came out that even the places, the land in which... the land in which, the apartments were built were not really, nothing was supposed to be built there because it was riparian land. So we've seen NEMA really bringing a lot of harm and losses to investors. So maybe next time to act as a deterrent, maybe some of even these investors should even go sue NEMA. I don't know, what would be your opinion in that? Those whose houses were especially has been destroyed over the last few months.
Yes, because I would advise.
And the person is
now this has opened to jail. This has opened a Pandora box.
Yes.
I would advise all people whose houses were damaged to go and look for Mr. Wahungu in private capacity. Sue him. Because you can see the type of fraud he was doing, paying for something that was not even there. He took millions of shillings for something. How could he approve something that was not existing? The land was not yet bought. The forest was not yet cleared. But they paid. It was a big network. This is one of the mega, corruption scandals. Me, I don't mind. People are saying there are some other, doing this, doing that. Fine. But this one is well knitted. Well-organized crime. Even the NEMA man paying for a forest which does not exist, a map which is not there. Mm-hmm. Feasibility study has not been done on Elero and Cameroon. Water has not been tested. NEMA has not approved the quantity of water of the dam. You can see he was paid in advance, even when the water has not even come out of the soil. Surely, my people.
It is such a shame. And one of our viewers here is saying, Sylvia Kalingu, thank you so much for joining us. It is top of the hour here in Nairobi noon. And Sylvia Kalingu, you're saying at Madaraka, the building went down, and another one is coming up next to the demolished one. NEMA is useless. So they brought down a building at Madaraka Estate, if I'm not wrong. That is what Sylvia is saying. And then after they brought down a building, just next to it, another one is coming up. So what is the sense in that?
The sense in that is that it is corruption. You can imagine. Look at what they have done. Mm-hmm. They are now, a new building is coming up after 6 months. Mm-hmm. The old one brought it down.
Not even
so why
6
did
months.
You bring the old one down?
Just immediately after, another one is coming up just next to the one that has been brought down. Not even 6 months yet.
That's exactly what I've been telling you. And that's what I've been saying all the time. I am telling you the amount of corruption. Someone created an academy to teach corrupt officials. And one day, Kenyans will remember my voice. Just as I said on the ICC, that Ken Wafula, the late Ken Wafula, created an academy to supply witnesses. Someone in Kenya created an academy to supply corruption. And one day, these words will be remembered that I was right.
All right, Dr. Matsanga, thank you so much there. You're joining us from Mombasa. Do I let you go and just enjoy the rest of your day, or do we take a short break and have you come back? Which one?
I think let me run and do a few things.
All right.
And it is waiting for you. Maybe over the weekend you can also join us, all of you. If you can take the rail up slowly, you can join us. We seem to be, you seem to be missing it. It is too cold up there, Miriam.
Yeah, but I'm a Nairobian, so I've never really complained much about the Nairobi weather. So we'll talk with Steve and the rest, and then we'll see, and then maybe we can hatch a plan. Who knows? But thank you so much for joining us today.
I think we better. You see, we better hatch a plan, and you better tell people that why we are wearing red is not that we called each other. It was a coincidence.
And it's not like
this color.
wine.
This color was for my party, Uganda People's Congress, but it was stolen by Mr. Bob Wine. Mm-hmm. So today I found one of the T-shirts in my suitcase. I like the red color so much, and that is the Jubilee color. So I am in it.
All right. I'm just wearing.
And I like your red blouse and continue doing the same good job.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you in the studio. Thank you very much. You can join us tomorrow in the afternoon or Saturday morning for the same runner. And I hope Fred and the rest of you, plus Tawish, wherever you are watching, that's our special correspondent, and others. Thank you very much. The man, high voltage himself, is resting.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much. And for our viewers, we'll just continue with the rest of the show, and maybe just take a short break, and then I'll come back with what is making headlines across Africa. Please don't go too far. Good morning, Africa. We'll be right back.
I want to call upon the people of Abazonia today, wherever you are in the diaspora, in Abazonia itself, that in a struggle you are bound to have divisions. But divisions should not divert you from the main focus, the main challenge. We have struggled to expose the happenings, the human rights abuses in Abazonia. The army has killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands, burnt houses of people, internet was cut off, schools were closed, dispensaries, hospitals were burnt down. Abazonians should not be intimidated by Paul Robia. It is not upon the leaders of Abazonia, because I am not from Abazonia. But I've played a pivotal role in making sure that I loud out the voices, I put out the call, I call upon AU, EU, United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. Many of them have listened to some of the things that I say here, and they have come at last. America, United States of America, is slowly moving towards giving the Abazonian people the dignity they deserve. I therefore call upon the leaders and the leadership of the Abazonian people to unite for a purpose. The unity of purpose is paramount, as opposed to disunity, which has nothing but only produces ego that we have seen in South Sudan. What has killed South Sudan is not because they don't have the money, the minerals, the resources. It's ego between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. We would not like to see that ego come to the people of Abazonia, the leadership of Abazonia. I call upon Samuel Sako, Akanga, Milan, and Eko to unite and talk with one voice on international scene that will bring about the peace, the tranquility that you yearn for since 1961, when the resolution 1608 was abandoned by the United Nations General Assembly and Amazonia was annexed by the Cameroon government by then. I call upon you, my brothers, to pick up the unity call and free your people without disintegration. Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Welcome back and thank you for joining us. In the first hour, we had Dr. Matsanga. He's been away, and we were just looking at the current situation here in Kenya in regards to the recent arrest of the CS for Treasury, Mr. Henry Rotich, and the matters and issues that have emerged surrounding that arrest and the case that now is in the Kenyan courts. And we also looked at matters corruption and how much it's affecting the Kenyan economy. And the rest, of course, especially, we didn't bring that up, but it is affecting so much the Big Four agenda of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So that is that. So right now, I'd just like us to go straight to what is making headlines across Africa this morning. And we start with Somalia, where the mayor of Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, is to be flown to Turkey for treatment, along with several others injured on Wednesday's suicide attack that killed 6 people, officials have told the BBC in Somali. Mayor Abdiharam Omar Osman is still unconscious. The officials, who did not want to be named, said a female suicide bomber blew herself up inside the mayor's office during a security meeting. Militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab says it carried out the attack hoping to target the new UN Special Envoy to Somalia, James Swan, a US citizen. And we go to Nigeria, where drivers in Nigeria now have the option of hearing route advice in a Nigerian accent when they use Google Maps. The technology giant unveiled new features on Wednesday, with the local accents also available on Google Assistant. It is the first move by the company to offer such a service in Africa, as it seeks to attract more users on the continent. And still in Nigeria, and Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, announced on Wednesday that it had begun probing a 2-time governor of the southern Imo state. Rochas Okorocha, a member of All Progressive Congress, APC, is currently serving as a senator. The EFCC said its operatives had so far marked properties in his name, as well as that of family members and cronies. And we go to Tunisia, where Tunisia's President Beji Said Essebsi is in hospital once again. Reuters news agency is reporting, quoting the president's son. This is the 3rd time he is being treated there in a matter of weeks. The 92-year-old is the world's oldest sitting president. Mr. Essebsi won Tunisia's first free election in 2014 following Arab uprisings across the region earlier this year. He announced he would not stand in elections expected in November, as saying someone younger should take charge. And we go to Sudan, where the Sudanese army says that after foiling a military coup, it has arrested several high-ranking officers and senior members of the former governing National Congress Party, NCP. It is not clear exactly when the coup attempt happened, but the authorities could be referring to one that allegedly took place earlier this month. This news comes as the military generals are running Sudan, and the opposition protest movement is due to continue efforts to finalize details of the power-sharing deal. And at the DRC, an MP from the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where more than 1,700 people have died since the start of the Ebola outbreak nearly 1 year ago, says he does not want residents to be guinea pigs for a new vaccine. Mohindo Nzangi Butondo comments come a day after former Health Minister Oli Ilunga resigned, saying it was fanciful to think that another vaccine would have much impact on the control of the current Ebola outbreak. And in Cameroon, and in another disturbing news, inmates have burnt down part of a prison in southwest Cameroon in protest over being detained on charges of secession, rebellion and terrorism. Security forces fired shots and tear gas to restore order at the facility in the town of Boer on Tuesday. It is not clear if there are any casualties. A video showing smoke billowing from the prison amid sounds of repeated gunfire was shared online. This week, there has also been a riot inside a prison in the capital Yaoundé following protests by inmates accused of involvement in the Anglophone rebellion. And in Algeria, an Algerian court has banned a former justice minister from leaving the country while a corruption inquiry is carried out. Tayeb Law served under President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, who was forced to resign in April after weeks of pro-democracy protest. Mr. Law is one of the dozens of political figures and rich businessmen who've been caught up in corruption investigations since the president was ousted. And in Uganda, musician turned member of parliament Bobby Wine has announced at a meeting of his People Power movement that he will run for president. He unveiled a team that will run his 2021 presidential election campaign. His popularity among Ugandan youth is seen as a challenge to veteran President Yoweri Museveni, who is 74 years old and is expected to run for a sixth term. And in South Sudan, President Salva Kiir has no plan to meet opposition leader Dr. Riek Machar during the forthcoming official visit in Ethiopia, the presidential press secretary has told iRadio. On Wednesday, the executive director of CEPO announced in a press release that President Salva Kiir will meet Dr. Machar in Addis Ababa next week to discuss the pending task of the pre-transitional period. Mr. Machar traveled to Addis Ababa 2 days ago on an alleged invitation by IGAD. Recently, the U.S. ambassador to South Sudan called for continued talks with the signatories to be revitalized peace agreement. Machar may have been in Ethiopia, but there is no plan for the president to meet up with him, and that is according to the office of the presidency. And still in South Sudan, and a parliamentary committee is expected to summon government spokesperson Michael Makuei to clarify the presidential ban on singing of the national anthem. After the last week cabinet meeting, Michael Makuei told reporters that President Salva Kiir had banned singing of the national anthem in his absence. He said the national anthem is only meant for the president and functions attended by him. As a result, the standing specialized committee on education at the TNLA says it is concerned about the ban since the national song is sung by school children across the country. And in Ethiopia, latest displacement in its southern regional town of Yirgalem, a town that was hit by deadly unrest related to the autonomy push by the Sidana people, has hit an all-time high. The BBC quotes an official who said over 400 people were sheltering in a church, having fled their homes for fear of attacks. Sidama is located in Ethiopia's multi-ethnic southern nations, nationalities and peoples region, SNNPR. The displaced were said to have fled into districts in the neighboring Oromia regional state. So that is just in a nutshell what is happening in Africa this afternoon. If there's anything else there that you have information about, please kindly share with us, and I will share with the rest of our viewers. Let me just appreciate a few of you who have been with us here And then we can continue just looking at the news in Africa. And I see you, Chooks Obioka, you're saying good morning. Dr. Matanga Biafra loves you. Good morning to you. And you're saying good morning, sister. Also, good morning to you. And you're saying you're watching from Lagos Zoo. I mean, you're watching us from Nigeria, right? Israel Williams is saying, I really love this news, honestly, because it's the only place you can find freedom news. And Silva Kalingo, yes, thank you. I think I'd read one of your comments earlier. And Israel Williams, you're saying, good afternoon, brothers and sisters, home and abroad. Please support a Biafra referendum and save lives in Nigeria. Nice news, guys. Keep it up. And let me see, Bismarck, where you're saying, I think you responded to Sylvia, and you're saying, I believe there will be more elections, and who is going to matter at those times. I think you're referring to upcoming election in Kenya. It's not even upcoming. It's 2022. We're still far off right now. So no more. Norom Bonaventure, you're saying morning, sir. Hope it went well at ICC with Biafra issue. Sorry, a doctor has just left, but I think when we talk to him next, he will let us know and he'll give us an update on the case that he was supposed to be filing. His lawyers were supposed to be filing on his behalf at the ICC on Tuesday. That is 2 days ago. So I will ask him that, and then he can give us an update on our next broadcast. And Delon Kemoi queried, you're saying judicial system is the main challenge to war against graft. And Sue Onyoni, you're saying good morning, Africa. And the rest of you, please keep writing. Ogebe, you're saying Ogebe Omot or Chan, you're saying Honorable Henry is unproductive and the judge should revise it. You're saying the judge should revise the order. All right, Nong Chu, you're saying you're back. Welcome back. It has been a while. Where have you been? Ababe Ayana, you say we need freedom and new laws, only Africa freedom. So keep writing. There's a lot of you there, and I'll go through that in a bit, but right now I've just gone through what is making headlines in Africa. And yesterday there was a deadly suicide attack that killed 6 people in Mogadishu, and the mayor Abdi Rahman Omar Osman is still very unconscious, and I don't know, by now they're supposed to have flown in to Turkey for further medical attention. I don't know if they've been able to do that. So the militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab came out to say that it had carried out the attacks, and they were hoping to target the new United Nations Special Envoy to Somalia, James Swan, who is a United States citizen. Remember, Somalia, I think late last year, closed down, I think removed from the country a UN envoy in the country, in Somalia. So I don't know what their problem is, with the United Nations. They've been at loggerheads because the United Nations gave some conditions. I think if you want us to continue helping your country, then there's certain things we want you to meet in regards to in our partnership and our working relation between the UN and Somalia, and that might not have worked out very well. And so they have been at loggerheads, the United Nations and Somalia. So Somalia last year had the UN envoy, special envoy there, parking ship. And so right now a new one, that the Islamist group Al-Shabaab said were actually targeting him. In the suicide bomb attack that happened yesterday there in Mogadishu that left around 6 people dead. And so, of course, the UN Special Envoy, who is a U.S. citizen, James Swan, escaped, and he did not, he did not get hurt. He was not there when that happened. So, yes, so very interesting here, innovation by Google, and they've decided that the people in Nigeria will have the privilege of having the Google Maps, the hearing route advice in their Nigerian accent. I don't know what that will sound like. I can't even do the accent. Maybe you can help me out here. And so, in the Pidgin, I think the Pidgin English or something like that. So you'll be hearing route advice that's normally on Google on your normal, your local accent, a Nigerian local accent, and the technology giant unveiled the new features yesterday with the local accents also available on Google Assistant. That's good. So Nigeria becomes the first African country for such a service to have taken place. I think they're just trying out and see how it will be received, and maybe they can, share it across other African states, and it can be adopted in the local accents, because even just the standard Google, assistant, even in places like the United States, or where you find some Hispanics living there, and their English has a very heavy Spanish accent, and sometimes it's a problem for the Google to understand. So maybe I'm sure they have that by now. So let's see how this Nigerian accent on Google Maps will work for Nigeria, and that should be interesting there. I'm just curious to know how that will sound. You can help me out there, our friends from Nigeria. And yes, and still in Nigeria, Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has announced on Wednesday that it has started probing a two-time governor of the Southern Imo state. His name is Rochas Okorocha. Apparently, during his tenure, a lot of corruption happened there. And so he is a member of All Progressive Congress. Is that President Muhammadu Buhari's party, I believe, if I'm not wrong? And so him, together with his family members and his cronies who benefited from the public looting, they will be probed soon. And so yes, that is the latest. So in Tunisia now, President Beji Said Essebsi is in a hospital again. This is the third time he's being treated in weeks. Remember, this guy is 92 years old, and he is the oldest president in the world. And he came into power in 2014 after, he was the first elected president, the first free elections in Tunisia. He was the one who was elected in 2014, and this happened after the famous Arab Spring uprisings that happened in 2011. So they elected President Benji Said Essebsi. But also what made me very happy here is, he's 92, so obviously, surely, even age-wise, he can't really perform very well. But he came to power after, the former President Ben Ali was ousted in 2011, who had also been in office for 23 years. But now, the president now, Said Essebsi, has come out and said, you know what, he has no plans to run for the next election. So that, I think, is a good thing. That is another catastrophe that has been avoided in another African country. Imagine if he had decided to stick to power like how, Abedin Ben Ali did, Tunisia was the melting point, the starting point of the Arab uprising in 2011. Remember when the young man burnt himself because of a lack of job and frustration and things like that? And that is what actually, that was the start of the Arab uprising. So the president ran away. I think that he's somewhere in another country as he sought asylum. But he had been in power there for 23 years. And then the current president now was elected, and he's been in power since 2014. But he's been very sickly, and it's understandable. He's 92 years old, but he said he has, done his part in leading Tunisia, and he does not intend to, go for another re-election. So I think that is some good news there, because there's a problem here with the third term. A lot of African leaders never want to leave power. They always want to extend time, and so this is a good thing. So he's been seeking treatment, and this is the third time he has in the last very few weeks seeking treatment, and it's understandable. He's 92 years old. The oldest president in the world, can only be found in Africa. Yes, and we go to Sudan, where the Sudanese army says that after foiling a military coup, it has arrested several high-ranking officers and senior members of the former governing National Congress Party, NCP. Remember, 2 weeks ago, the army came out and said, you know what, they had arrested some officers who they're suspecting wanted to have another coup on the current TMC, the current Transitional Military Council. So there are other military figures or officers that were allied to the opposition. That is what the military council is saying, that are planning a secret coup, and so they have been arrested. And these claims came earlier in the month, and this comes as the military generals running Sudan, together with the opposition protest movement, are still working on modalities and how to finalize details of the power sharing deal. Remember, last week the talks resumed, but the protest and the civilian side decided, they needed some time to talk about, to go and discuss within themselves what they wanted to come back and negotiate with the military side. And so it has been halted right now, but at the request of the protester side, the civilian side, because they needed to iron out some things within their movement, and then bring it and negotiate further with the military council. But there seems to be progress has been made. Of course, there was another protest, not this weekend, but the other one that saw another person, young man, lose his life over there. And there seems to be another something brewing here, another scandal brewing here from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and a member of parliament of constituency there at whose constituency was highly affected by the outbreak of Ebola that has claimed nearly 1,700 lives there. He's now worried that the World Health Organization is bringing in medicine that they say a vaccine against polio, and they're worried that this could be for something else, and they're saying that they do not want Congolese to be used as guinea pigs on a medication that has not been tested anywhere else in the world, and so they're bringing it to Congo to test it there, and they're saying no, they do not want the residents there to be guinea pigs for the new vaccine. So the member of parliament Muhindo Nzangi Butondo commented a day after, of course, World Health, the former health minister resigned, the health minister of DRC, I think, out of frustration, resigned. And now this new vaccine is being introduced, and they do not want it because they're saying they cannot trust this medication that has not been tested anywhere else in the world. And they're asking, why is it that the DRC, the Congolese, are going to be the guinea pig for this? Why is it being tested in Congo? Maybe because it is in Congo that the Ebola, there's a high Ebola outbreak. I don't know, but they're saying that they don't trust some of these things. Remember, a lot of medication that has been invented in the West sometimes they've come to Africa and tried it, and others have had very adverse effects because it is on a trial basis. It has not been approved completely, so they need to try it before it's given a go ahead. And so you don't know how this might affect even the people that they're going to try it on. Sam Ekaga, you're saying you're watching us from Sweden. Ogebe Omot, you're saying that's great decision, Mr. President, from Mr. President, yes. Chooks Obiako, you're saying good morning to you. Continue watching and writing to us, and please, I'd like to know where you're watching us from. And Sam, I think it's a good morning there in Sweden. Thank you so much for joining. So something else also that is also a problem. I think one of our viewers also mentioned it yesterday and on Tuesday, on Monday as well. So inmates have burnt down part of a prison in the Anglophone region, the southwest Cameroon, in protest of being detained on charges of secession, rebellion, and terrorism. And I keep saying this is what happens when you keep pushing people to the wall. I think the Anglophones have had it with the Yaoundé government. They've had it up to, they can't even take it anymore. Imagine being put to jail a year and your case have never been heard in any court. It has not been determined. For you have not been found guilty of anything, but you're languishing in jail. So that is the position that especially a lot of the young Anglophones find themselves in. And so here, remember on Sunday, there was another riot that broke out at a Yaoundé, prison. That so 4 more people lose their lives. And of course, the protest was streamed live on Facebook. I do not know how inmates get a hold of a phone and the internet, but it happened. And so that has really shaken the Cameroon government, Paul Biya's government. And so this happened on Tuesday, and inmates burnt down part of a prison in the Anglophone region because these people are really frustrated. These people want a fair trial, which I think is impossible for them in Cameroon because of how things are and how the structures are there. They've been detained for a very long period of time. They have not been tried. And they've been neglected. And matter of fact, the conditions that they're facing there in jail are very inhumane. So such a person, really, you've pushed them to the wall. They have nothing to lose, if anything. And so they're going to burn down the whole place. So they burnt down a prison in southwest Cameroon. I don't know, are there any Ambazonians here watching today? You can tell me. The other day you really were very resourceful with some information, so you can tell me really and give me a gist of this story. And so security forces fired shots and tear gas to restore order at the facility in the town of Buea on Tuesday. It is not yet clear if there are any casualties. A video showing smoke billowing from the prison amid sounds of repeated gunfire was shared online. Well, thank God for social media and the internet. A lot of these things used to happen and nobody knew of it. But right now with the internet, information travels very fast, and the rest of the world are able to see the conditions in anywhere in the world, be it in Biafra, be it in Amazonia, be it in anywhere in the world. So maybe this will get the attention that it deserves. And as I said before here, our president, Paul Biya has made it very categorical. He's not interested in having secession talks with the Ambazonians. He can discuss anything else, but the matter of Ambazonians leaving and having their own state of Ambazonia, he said no, that is not a conversation he's willing to engage in. But anything else, yes. So I don't know, because that is the main issue there that Ambazonians would love, talked about. They want to leave, they do not want to stay, and so maybe when he watches such things, that might make him reconsider and want to reach out widely and open up, himself to other possibilities and his government to other possibilities of finding a lasting solution in there in Cameroon. So there you go. The prison, there was a prison, part of a prison was burnt down in southwest Cameroon. Protesters are being, they're being detained on charges of secession, rebellion, and terrorism. Those are very serious charges there that might attract a lot of time, if not life sentence, in jail. And they are being accused of these things, but they've not even been tried in the court there. And if they were being tried, they'll be taken to Yaoundé. And remember, that is a francophone region. They don't even understand French. So it is the catch-22 that Ambazonians find themselves there in Cameroon. And this is a developing story, so if you're watching us from there, please give us more information or any new development or any new information, and I'll be happy to share with the rest of our viewers. And yes, and in Algeria, a court has banned a former justice minister from leaving the country while a corruption inquiry is carried out. Well, Algerians have been very consistent with what they want, and they even won when they were playing in the AFCON. I was just, wondering, these guys are playing and they've left their country. Well, not really banning, but their protesting has been very systematic, and they've been very adamant until they get what they want. They are not relenting, and so a lot of people who used to work with the former president Abdelaziz Bouteflika have been able to They've been made to resign, they've been made to leave office, and so many of them right now are facing corruption charges, especially. And so this is one of the people that had been charged. His name is Tayyip Lu, who served under President Abdulaziz Bouteflika, who was forced to resign in April after weeks of pro-democracy protest. And he was a former justice minister, so he wanted to travel out of Algeria. I don't know for what kind of business, because he's such a rich business person there in Algeria, and he was told, no, you cannot travel until your case is heard and determined. So he was denied travel there. The happenings in Algeria, I love the way their protest is very organized, and they know what they want. They've made it very clear. They were supposed to have elections actually in July, yes, in July the 4th. They refused. They said the Electoral Commission and the people who are going to head this election were in the past government. So we cannot expect them to hold a free and fair election. They don't have the moral authority to, preside any election here in Algeria. So the people refused even to front presidential candidates. So there was no legitimate, eligible presidential candidate. And so the elections could not happen there in Algeria. So it has forced the military to engage further and to tone down and to engage with the protesters, because they made it very clear they want what they want and they're not settling for anything that they feel will not serve them or will not bring change to Algeria. I think that is the way to go. They've stand their ground, and maybe next time anywhere in Africa, if you're planning a protest, maybe we could borrow a leaf, because so far we've not had any fracas, we've not had any chaos in the streets, we've not had any breakings of shops or mayhem or any kind of that. It's been very peaceful and very organized. So that is the way to go. And the people's voice is the voice of God, I hear. So that is the latest there from Algeria. And we come to Uganda, and the Ugandan's musician turned member of parliament, Bobby Wine, who's really, his name is Robert Changulanyi, if I'm not wrong. And he announced at a meeting of the People's Power Movement. That is the name of his party. I did not even know his party. So his party is called People Power Movement. It's very interesting. He will be running for presidency next year. He unveiled a team that will run his 2021 presidential election campaign. I wonder what became of his agreement with, the long-suffering opposition figure in Uganda, Kizza Besigye, because they'd come out and signed a pact to work together, and we were hoping that they were just working on the modalities and structure on how they were going to actually work together and form a strong, force for the opposition that will be able to go against President Museveni. But, Bobby Wine yesterday unveiled a team that will help him run his 2021 presidential election campaign. So what happened to that agreement he had with Besigye? That's very interesting. Have they fallen out? Are they not agreeing? They're very different generations, and Besigye from the old guard, and Bobby Wine new with new ideas and being driven differently, passionate. So it's maybe they're not able to understand each other, and perhaps the ideals were different, and the ideas on how they want to bring change in Uganda was different. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand, why is it now that they're not speaking in one voice? What happened? Does the unity still stand, or have they fallen apart? And this is something that Dr. Matsanga keeps saying here. The problem with Ugandan opposition, they have been unable to unite in order to rally behind one person to challenge President Museveni. So they all want to stand on their own, and in that way it makes it very difficult and for them to win. And Museveni normally has a very clean sweep. Of course, a lot of corruption, and that happens during the electoral process in Uganda. It has never been exactly free and fair, which is the nature of a lot of elections here in Africa. And so that is the challenge that the electorates in Uganda will have to contend with. So now Bobi Wine has come out and he has said that he will run for elections in 2021. Matter of fact, unveiling his campaign team for a presidential election there. And his party is People Power Movement. It's quite interesting. People Power Movement. So it's just people power. I hope it's idea based. Not just a movement for the purpose of it, and we wish him well there. I don't know how I did not bring this up with Dr. Matsanga. I would have loved to hear his comments on that. And we move to South Sudan, where President Salva Kiir has said he has no plans to meet with opposition leader Dr. Riek Machar during the forthcoming official visit to Ethiopia. The presidential press secretary has told the Radio there in South Sudan. On Wednesday, the executive director of CEPO announced in a press release that President Salva Kiir would meet Dr. Machar. So there was an announcement that had been made earlier, and it had suggested that Dr. Salva Kiir was going to meet with his, a deputy now in exile in Khartoum. They were going to meet in Addis Ababa. Apparently, Machar had been invited by IGAD in Addis Ababa, and President Salva Kiir was also going to Addis Ababa for the same function, I think. And the president has come out and said no, he has no plans to meet with Machar in Addis Ababa. The only place he's going to meet and have talks with Machar is in Juba. So he has made it very, very categorical, and he's taking that very strong stand. Dr. Machar traveled to Addis Ababa 2 days ago on an alleged invitation by IGAD, as I have said there. And of course, recently the U.S. ambassador to South Sudan called for continued talks with the signatories of the revitalized peace agreement. But the president has said Machar may have been in Ethiopia, or may be in Ethiopia, but I have no plan to visit, to see him, to meet up with him anywhere except in Juba. So Salva Kiir has made it very clear. If Machar wants to talk, remember Machar wrote him a letter 2 weeks ago expressing his concern over the time that is being wasted, that they were given 6 months and nothing has happened, and he really wanted to meet with the president, but of course he set out some preconditions, and he said should he travel to Juba, then his security needs to be assured, and also he wants his house arrest lifted, and he wants the ban against him not traveling in other IGAD countries also lifted. So he's going to Addis Ababa. So I think maybe there's a clause there that, as long as it's whatever he's traveling for has to do with the peace process, then maybe he can travel, because he is said to be heading to Addis Ababa there. And he was hoping to speak with the President Salva Kiir. Machar has said he does not feel safe returning to Juba because of what happened to him in 2016 that sparked a fierce war between the two factions. And he said if they want him back, then some measures must be put in place for his safety to be assured and for him to return. And so he was hoping to meet the president. This is according to some information there. Director of CEPO had alleged that Machar was in Addis Ababa and he would want to meet with President Salva Kiir, but the president's spokesperson came out and said no, the president will meet with Machar, but only in Juba. Okay, hardlining positions there, and I think this has been the major challenge with the peace for the peace process in South Sudan. Hardlining positions that both sides have been taking. President Salva Kiir and his deputy Riek Machar, they've been taking very serious hardlining positions, and the people of South Sudan meanwhile continue to suffer. Gebe Omot Ochan, you're saying people power will not win elections in Uganda since setting President Museveni is still there. Yes, it's called People Power Movement. How do they settle on such names? Yeah, I also found it to be very interesting. But let's see, the Ugandan electorate has the power in their hands, so they will decide who they want to lead them there in Uganda. So back to the issue that has been making headlines in South Sudan, of course, and it has to do with the lovely national anthem of South Sudan. Yesterday, I read a part of it because I'd wondered, why is it that the president would ban the singing of national anthem during, a public gathering when he's not present? And I thought perhaps, it mentions the name of the president somewhere. And I went through it, and no, it does not. It's a prayer to the country. And yesterday I read the first stanza here. Let me just read the second stanza today. And it says, "O motherland, arise, raise your flag with the guiding star, and sing songs of freedom with joy. For peace, justice, and liberty shall forevermore reign." So that is just the second stanza of South Sudan's national anthem. And now a parliamentary committee is expected to summon government spokesman Michael McQuay to clarify the presidential ban on singing of the national anthem. After the last, weekly cabinet meeting, Michael McQuay told reporters that President Salva Kiir had banned singing of the national anthem in his absence. Can ego get bigger than that? President Salva Kiir does not want the national anthem to be sung, in his absence. So now, as a result, the Standing Specialized Committee on Education at the TNLA says it is concerned about the ban since the national song is sung by school children across the country. And as we do even here in Kenya, all the assembly days, the assembly in schools starts with the national anthem. So now the Ministry of Education is worried. Will the teachers be in problem? Will the school be in problem if the kids are allowed to sing the national anthem? I think this is ridiculous, and the president should come out to clarify this matter, because so far, it is his spokesperson who many believe is speaking on behalf of the president, Salva Kiir, but he's not come out to refute. So we are assuming these are his thoughts and his, these were his orders. So he ordered that the national anthem is not to be sung without him he banned singing of the national anthem in his absence. And he said that the national anthem is only meant for the president and functions untended by him. That is ridiculous. That is just ridiculous on another level. Like, I can't even reading that is just it does not making any sense at all. And of course, Ethiopia's latest displacements in the southern regional town of Yergalem, a town that was hit by deadly unrest related to the autonomy push, is now at an all-time high. Ethiopia is facing its own problems there. I think we've kept mentioning it every now and then, and we just hoping that does not escalate to something else beyond what it is already there. So that is just what is happening in Africa this morning. Is there something else that I need to know of out there? You can let me know. Okay, but you're saying President Salva Kiir is very right and responsible decision. Let Mr. Riek fly to Juba, otherwise he will be packed in Khartoum. But should he continue? But okay. Let me just be the devil's advocate here, Mr. Ogebe, for just one moment. Mr. Riek Machar has really expressed his fears of setting foot in Juba if there are no proper security measures that have been put in place. And this is advised by what happened in 2016 when the forces of allied to the president really attacked him and his forces, and I think they wanted to capture him, I'm not sure, and he had to literally flee by foot in able to access a UN camp, and finally he was airlifted from the country. So that is what advised him to go where he is right now. So by him wanting to meet President Salva Kiir in Addis Ababa, don't you think perhaps he really wants this peace process to continue. So as much as he does not feel safe to go to Juba, maybe if President Salva Kiir would have, agreed to meet with him in Addis Ababa and just have a one-on-one with him and just check between the two of them, how far are they, both of them, with this peace process? What are some of the things that he actually wants? These are people from the same country. And the end of the day, it's not about President Salva Kiir. It's not about Riek Machar. I believe it is the people of South Sudan that really matter here. So whatever that should be done, by all means necessary, these two people need to meet. So by Riek Machar wanting to meet up with the president when he goes to Addis Ababa, is this not just a sign that perhaps he really, really wants to commit to this peace process and he wants to see them move from where it is right now? Because they're just going into circles. No much progress has been made, even after the Pope kissed their feet, after they were given an extension of 6 months. We are going to nearly 3 months is over. Remember, it's past 2 months. We are approaching the 3rd month. Nothing major has been done. So he is literally worried about this. So for him wanting to see the president, I think this is from my side, and I said I'm going to be the devil's advocate for today. Perhaps he just really he means business when in regards to this peace process. But you know what? I don't know. You tell me what you think of it or what you make of it. So for President Kiir to say, I will come to Addis Ababa, but I have no intentions of meeting with you. The only place I will meet with you in Juba, and yet the conditions that were supposed to be set to allow for Machar to return are not there yet. He said that his security must be guaranteed. President Kiir hasn't done that yet. He said he needs his house arrest to be lifted. It has not been done yet. The ban on him from traveling to IGAD countries, But most importantly, he wants to be assured of his security, which he feels has not been put in place in Juba. I don't know, but that is where he is coming from. And you're saying Dr. Riek security committees are in Juba, including his wife as the head of security arrangements. Nobody will kill him for sure. All right, Ogebe, thank you there. So anyway, then Dr. Machar should come. So maybe President Salva Kiir has a point there. So you don't think that Dr. Machar's worry are founded? You think he's just being paranoid at this point? Okay. Because as I said there, he had written to the president, last 2 weeks ago, and he said he's worried that the peace process has stalled. Time is passing and nothing much has been done. The 6 months will pass very quickly. And, remember, after they signed the peace deal last year in September, and they were given time, and the deadline was supposed to be in May, they're supposed to have formed a unity government. They failed to do that. And I think South Sudanese, patience is thinning out very quickly. So I think they should come together, whichever means possible. They should do that for the greater good of the country of South Sudan and for the people of South Sudan. I think they owe them that much. They owe them that much. Let them speak. If Riek Machar, let him assure his vice that he is safe. Even if the UN has to come in as the mediators, the army, and just stand in the middle of the both sides, let it be done. But we actually need, Machar to come back to Juba for the peace process to commence, and finally they can be able to form the unity government. And so we are just waiting for that. Samuel Lay, you're saying Kiir plans to kill Dr. Machar. I don't know what Ogebe you'd say there. How would you respond to Samuel's comments there? He's saying President Salva Kiir actually is planning to kill Dr. Machar. Well, that will be the start of another unending bloodshed there that the rest of us don't want to witness. I think enough blood has been shed in South Sudan, and there's no need for any more. Right now, the United Nations, count stand at 400,000 people have died since the start of war in 2013. Those are not just figures. These are people we are counting. In fact, 400,000 over and above that. It is staggering. That is a whole county here in Kenya. I don't know how much we are here in Nairobi, the capital. but close to that. So these are not just figures and statistics. These are people who have died. These are innocent blood that have been caught in the crossfire of two people with egos they can't even contain. So that is the problem. Yeah. So when you hear such figures, that should make anybody worry, and Bismarck Bure is saying, Miriam, these two people do not know what that a country is greater than individuals, especially for people of South Sudan who have gone through suffering for decades. Yes, and that really gets me very upset every time, I read such things. Now the president, instead of focusing on that, now he's banning the singing of national anthem in his absence. What nonsense is this? Anyway, so so we are quickly coming to the end of our show today. I want to thank you so much, our viewers, wherever you've been watching us from. It has been a pleasure. Remember, in the first hour we had a live conversation via Skype with Dr. Matsanga, who is at the Kenyan coast. Bismarck, you must have missed him. He was here, but you were speaking with him through the Skype from Mombasa, and he was just giving his opinion on what has been happening in the country, and particularly on our topic of today is Kenya's judiciary system. A challenge to the war against corruption, and right now all eyes are set on the Kenyan judiciary, and this will be a great litmus test in how they are going to handle the case of the former the CS for Treasury Henry Rotich, the disgraced CS. I might add that you should see his images from the court. He seems to be not a man under siege. So a lot of money and lootings, misappropriation of public funds have happened through the Treasury, and he has some very serious questions to answer there. And of course, yesterday he was let out through a bail, but the case continues, and this, I think, has continued, and to deepen the rift that is already there in the Jubilee government. And we saw Sudi come out to let me just read that on page 4 of the Standard. We mentioned it here with Dr. Matsanga, but let me just read quickly before we end the show. And it says, the political marriage between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto is irretrievably broken, Kapsabet Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi said yesterday. Visibly agitated, Mr. Sudi told reporters in Eldoret that the Jubilee government had failed Kenyans, and it was the high time the president vacated office because he could no longer execute his mandate diligently. And what Sudi is, not understanding here is that the Jubilee government also includes the Deputy President William Ruto. So he's come out to actually say the Jubilee government has failed Kenyans. Okay, that is something to ponder there. And he's saying apparently the relationship between the president and his deputy is like of a man and a woman who are married but sleeping in different houses, an indication that the union is over. Kenyans should not be cheated to believe they're still in good terms. And he said despite Ruto claiming on several occasions that he, Ruto, and the president enjoyed a cordial bond, the difference is glaring for all of us to see. And indeed, Kenyans have been seeing this. I think this has been very obvious. It has been an open secret. We've been seeing even the body language when they're forced to be even in certain state functions together, the president and his deputy. And remember, during the Akurino convention that happened in Kasarani, when the president literally just lost it, and he said, people are running around thinking that it's a joke. I'm not their young man, and right now I'm here to work for Kenyans, and I'll make sure that the development plan I have for Kenyans must be realized and will be realized, and these distractors, I will deal with them. And from then. And he was seen to be referring to, some members of parliament, especially from his backyard, that have been, doing rounds with the deputy president. And he was very annoyed and frustrated, and it was showing all over. So we know, and we've been seeing that. And so, yes, Okoa, Jackie, you're saying, hello, Dr. Matanga and Miriam. You guys keep doing good jobs. I'm proud of you. God bless you. Okay, thank you too, and thank you for joining. And Nelson Firenwa, you're saying you love Africa, and you love Biafra, and we love you back. Thank you so much. So that has been another Thursday edition of Good Morning Africa. The day is 25th of July 2019, and my name is Miriam Ogutu. I'll see you again here tomorrow, bright and early. Take care of yourselves.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.